Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really cool new frontier in AI, one that's quietly moving out of the research labs and into the real world. We're talking about teams of AI agents that actually work together to solve complex problems.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We've all seen the absolute explosion of AI models lately, right? This timeline just shows how wild it's been. Since just 2023, we're talking at least 86 major releases from the world's top AI companies. The pace of innovation is just relentless, with billions and billions of dollars being poured in. But that brings up a really interesting paradox, doesn't it? If these AI tools are so powerful, why are most companies and big organizations still completely struggling to make sense of their own information? Why are so many of them basically drowning in data they can't even use? Well, it turns out the problem isn't really the AI itself, it's the data. For most places, their information is just this messy, tangled maze, and that maze is usually defined by three big challenges. For starters, your data is probably all over the place. It's what they call disparate. It's stuck in different departments and different systems that don't talk to each other. Then you've got the fact that most of it, we're talking up to 90%, is unstructured. It's just text, buried in emails, reports, and transcripts. And on top of all that, every single business problem needs very specific niche knowledge to solve it the right way.
So, how in the world do you solve a maze like that? Well, not with one giant, all-knowing AI. The answer is actually something a lot smarter, a lot more focused. A specialized AI agent.
And a lot of the time, this is what's called a React agent. Now, this isn't just an AI that spits out text. Think of it more like a problem solver. It's designed to reason, to create a plan, and then to actually use digital tools like searching a database or running a quick calculation to get a job done. It's always in this think-act loop. And this is how it works in a nutshell. It gets a question. Then it thinks, okay, what tool do I need to answer this? It goes and uses the tool, gets some new information back, and then it thinks again. Do I have enough to give a solid answer now, or do I need to repeat the process? It's this constant, elegant cycle of reasoning and then act.
Now, one of these specialist agents is pretty useful for sure, but here's where things get really interesting. The real breakthrough happens when you get them to work together as a team. That's how you build something truly powerful.
And this is the core idea of what's called a multi-agent system, or MAS for short. Instead of trying to rely on one single, overworked genius AI that has to do everything, you build a coordinated team of AI specialists. Each agent has its own specific job, which makes the entire system way more flexible and, honestly, way more efficient. And this whole divide-and-conquer approach just makes sense for a few big reasons. It's modular, which means it's much easier to build and fix one little part without breaking the whole thing. The specialization means each agent is an expert at its one job, which boosts accuracy. You get way more control over the whole process, and it's actually cheaper because you only fire up the specific agents you need for any given task. You can kind of picture it like this diagram. You've got a coordinator agent that acts like a project manager. When a question comes in, it doesn't try to answer it all by itself. No, it looks at the problem and says, okay, who on my team has the right tools and the right data for this? And then it routes the work out to the right specialists.
So, this isn't just some theory on a whiteboard. These AI teams are already out there being used to solve some really complex real-world business problems. Let's just look at three quick examples.
First up, cybersecurity. A huge telecom company is using an AI team to help its security analysts wade through just massive amounts of threat data. The system automatically connects the dots between different data sources, a job that's just getting too big, too fast for any human team to handle on their own.
Next, here's a cool one. A national heritage organization in the UK had decades of data about all their assets, but it was fragmented across tons of different sites, all in different formats. So they built an AI team that acts as a kind of universal translator. Now, staff can ask questions about their entire collection as if it were all stored in one single organized system.
So, how did it actually do? Well, after a one-month trial, the feedback was pretty promising. If you look at the chart and add up the good answer, correct, and partially correct responses, you get to 61% positive feedback. Now, it wasn't perfect, but it was a fantastic starting point, and it showed them exactly where they needed to make improvements.
And for our last example, customer service. A utilities company put together an AI team to automate drafting email responses. You have different agents working in a little assembly line. One categorizes the incoming email, another pulls the right customer data from the CRM, and a third one drafts a reply using the company's own knowledge base. And the results here were really impressive. When real users tested it, the system cranked out drafts that scored super high on safety and clarity. You'll notice correctness was a bit lower, which just reinforces the need for a human to give that final sign-off. But get this, it could generate a draft for about 5 pence per email, compared to 33 pence for a person. That's a huge difference.
Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? But, and this is a big but, as we start moving these systems from cool prototypes into real production, it's so important to talk about the hype versus the reality. We have to understand their current limits. On the one hand, their biggest strength is pure speed. You can build and adapt these systems incredibly fast. We're talking prototypes in weeks, and pilot-ready solutions in about a month. But on the other hand, and this is the major hurdle, is reliability. The kind of unpredictable nature of language models means errors can and do happen. And that's why human oversight is still absolutely essential. And that really drives home the key point here. As Professor Alan Brown puts it, the future of leadership lies in complementarity with AI, not replacement. These systems are incredibly powerful tools, yeah, but they're designed to augment and support human experts, not to kick them out the door. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We now have the ability to build and deploy entire teams of these specialized AI agents. The technology is here. So the real question, the real challenge ahead of us isn't about the tech itself. It's about us. Are we ready to manage, direct, and lead these new kinds of digital teams effectively?